Happy New Year!
Woo! Welcome, boxing fans from around the world, to another episode of the Friday Night Panel featuring Christian, Mike, myself, here on Talkin Fight. And we've had a festive week, that's for sure, and looking forward to the weekend ahead of us, full of fights which have already begun, of which we watched several this afternoon. Somewhere, Mike and I were just saying, Christian, just how incredibly boring. I was expecting a knockout. You know, you'd seen all the preliminary highlights of this guy Turkey just knocking out his opponents left, right, center. So I was thinking, yeah, good. And it just turned into a hug fest. The whole thing was just a hug fest.
Guess what? He's not going to be on our show on Sunday.
That's right. That's right.
So sorry, Turkey.
He left it in the hands of the judges.
Sorry, Turkey.
No
judges.
All right.
No judges.
All right. Quick little headline. I just when skimming through some headlines, I noticed that our girl out of Montreal, Jessica the Cobra Camara, her fight's been delayed. Her opponent was Heather Hardy, and Heather Hardy's gotten sick. Not COVID, but she's gotten sick. So Lou DiBella has announced that he's delayed that fight until I think May 14th. I think that's what the announcement read. Anyway, Christian, do you have any history for us or trivia? What do you got?
Oh, I usually have something kicking around for this one here, but let's see. We're talking a little bit today about Rocky Marciano, specifically Jersey Joe Walcott, but a bit of the run-up to their fight, because this was the fight that got Marciano his heavyweight. So before relinquishing his crown, Joe Louis had faced veteran Jersey Joe Walcott twice. Okay, so their first clash back in 1947 was one of the most controversial in history, as judges gave the Brown Bomber a narrow points win when everybody else basically saw Walcott as the clear winner. So the aging champion's mortality was clearly showing, and when, after scoring an 11th round knockout of Walcott in his rematch, Joe Louis announced his retirement right away. You know, everyone agreed that this was the right decision at the time. But shortly thereafter, Louis, who was faced with a bill from the IRS for overdue taxes, and the man who had donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to help the United States during World War II, ended up with little choice but to lace up the gloves again. Meanwhile, as Ezzard Charles had emerged as the new heavyweight champion with a points win over Walcott, again in Chicago. He then turned back the challenge of the former champion Joe Louis and went on to defend his title against the ranked contenders such as Nick Baroni and Leoma. Now, Louis continued to campaign, hoping for another shot at a much-needed payday, but in October 1951, he ran into a burly young slugger from Brockton, Massachusetts, named Rocky Marciano.
Hey, Rocky.
Now, Rocky. So the two contenders battled it out at Madison Square Garden, and nostalgic fans of the Brown Bomber fought back tears when Louis was knocked out by the younger, stronger man in the 8th round. But earlier that same year, Charles and Walcott had fought twice more, and the rematch in Detroit yielding another decision win for the Cincinnati Cobra. But more than a few thought the verdict represented a second championship robbery inflicted upon Jersey Joe. So Ezzard and Walcott made it a trilogy, this time in Pittsburgh, and this time Jersey Joe scored a historic win. With a lightning left hook in the 7th round, he became the oldest heavyweight champion in boxing history. Now, the following June, Walcott beat Charles again, this time on points, while Marciano had scored four straight knockout wins to firmly establish himself as the division's top contender. The stage was set, and the best two heavyweights in the world were, at that time, Jersey Joe and The Rock. And the battle for the championship drew some 50,000 people to Philadelphia's Municipal Stadium. And it was also beamed to a record 50,000 theaters in major cities across America, which I think was a first at the time. Marciano versus Walcott inspired some great public interest, in part because of the opinions on who was more likely to win. You know, this was pretty sharply divided. For the most part, Marciano's advantages in youth and power were most thought were going to be too much for, the ring-worn 38-year-old veteran to overcome. That one hurts a little, being 38 myself.
Shut
being
up.
called Ward and 38. That hurts a little on a personal level. But more than a few did see Walcott's edge and experience and ring smarts and technique as being, this was going to be the deciding factor. Jersey Joe, some said Jersey Joe was too old, too used up. Some said Rocky was too callow and too crude. For his part, Walcott dismissed Marciano as being any kind of threat, telling anyone who would listen that this young kid just did not have the ability to give him a tough battle, let alone defeat him. So to the veteran's eyes, Rocky was inexperienced in an underschool brawler lacking in finesse and technique. Now, what he said was, write this down. He can't fight, and if I don't lick him, take my name out of the record books. Pretty bold statement. And for the better part of 12 rounds, Walcott and his backers were proved correct. To be fair, midway through the opening round, Jersey Joe stunned the challenger, not to mention the huge crowd, when he snapped home a sharp left hook that gave Marciano the first knockdown of his career, putting him right on the seat of his pants on the canvas. First time it ever happened to him. Now, he was up within 3 seconds, to be fair. Now, Rocky was up, up as well, this, 3 or 4, depending on who you talk to here. But, he got up, but he was clearly hurt. And he took a beating for the rest of that round. And, indeed, Walcott, like the skilled and experienced workman that he was, dominated the early going. Turning back Rocky's charges with ease and testing him on the chin repeatedly. And in the process, making liars out of those who had dismissed him as being too used up to compete with the younger man. But the challenger started to find his rhythm around the 4th round, bullying his way inside to launch his own offensive. Now, it had already been a fast-paced and bruising battle, but the struggle only intensified through the sheer brute strength and aggression that Rocky Marciano forced Walcott back into the ropes. Now, there was a ferocious exchange that followed, both taking turns and throwing and eating leather at a furious pace. It's a great phrase, by the way, both eating leather at a furious pace. And in the 6th, they clashed heads, the challenger suffering a cut on his scalp and the champion a slice over his left eye. So, naturally, both corners, at the end of the round, applied solutions and coagulants to treat the wounds. And at the end of round 7, Rocky walked back to his corner to declare that he couldn't see at all. Something had gotten into his eyes, and for the next 3 rounds, Marciano fought with impaired vision. Now, Walcott didn't need to be asked twice about this one. He took full advantage of his now vulnerable challenger, easily avoiding most of Rocky's efforts and countering with precision, landing big shots again and again and opening up more cuts on Rocky Marciano's face. And the whole time, Marciano's face is rising and swelling around his left eye. So it was proving a most impressive performance for the wizened 38-year-old veteran of so many battles with so many great battlers. And one of the few to be fair, one of the few to defeat the legendary Joe Louis, as we mentioned at the top of this article, but to be denied by the judges. And he was doing all that he could to win this all-out boxing match against the younger, stronger man. After 12 bruising, fast-paced rounds, he was clearly in command, and so far ahead on points that Rocky needed a knockout in order to win. Experience, skill, and ring intelligence were proving too much for raw power and youth and exuberance. And at this point in time, Marciano seemed clearly out of his depth. And then it all comes to a crashing end. Marciano answered the bell for the round 13 with malice in his heart, intent on turning the tide of this and finally imposing his will on the fight. He stalked the champion from a crouch, forcing him to retreat, and then with Walcott's back touching the ropes, both men unleashed big right hands. And it was akin to a stereotypical gunslinger duel in old Western movies when 2 cowboys draw their guns in the dusty street, each man firing a single killer shot. If we've set the scene properly here for you, right? Now, as it turns out, Rocky's was the quicker draw, unleashing a perfectly timed right hook that barely traveled 10 inches. Now, other reports that I've read on this fight was that it was Rocky's famous right hand haymaker that he called the Susie Q, and Rocky claimed that it was only from a distance of 6 inches. Just saying. But according to this account, traveled 10 inches. The punch was the equivalent of a circuit breaker. landing flush on Jersey Joe's chin with brutal force and instantly turning the lights off. Walcott collapsed into the ropes, his left arm hooked over the middle strand, suspending him as Marciano landed a gratuitous left on the side of his head. The referee, in a completely pointless exercise, told out the 10 count as the now ex-champion's intense body slowly surrendered to gravity to rest on the canvas.
Timber!
He could have counted to 1,000 if he wanted to. The short, vicious right hand would prove to be one of the most consequential punches ever thrown in the prize ring. A single blow not only erased Walcott's lead on the scorecards, but also marked the beginning of a new chapter in history of the heavyweight championship and the end of Jersey Joe's Cinderella career. Now, as you guys will all know, Marciano went on to fight, I think it was 49 fights undefeated. 43 of them, I think, were by knockout. Here's trouble. Here's trouble. I spoke too soon, and they're chiming in from across the pond.
Well, there's a welcome for you, Christian. Thank you very much. So,
for those of you who don't know, Carl is from Last Bell Boxing chat, and then they come to us from the UK, Nottingham, I believe, right?
Correct. The land of Carl Froch.
That's right.
So how are we, guys?
I've definitely tipped the wrist a couple of times in Nottingham, actually. Good town. Great town. Graham as well. The two of us got hammered in Nottingham a couple of times.
Yeah, I think we've all been hammered in Nottingham.
Yeah, Nottingham's a great
Oh, that's right.
place
You've got family in Nottingham, don't you, Mike?
Yes, I do have an aunt that lives there.
You're doing a great job for the tourist information board. I can put it that way, boys.
Above and beyond Robin Hood. All right.
Yes, way above and beyond.
But that's our history lesson for the evening, guys. So I'm glad you joined us at a good time, Carl, because we're just about to talk about things a little bit more current.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, what first thing I would like to say, Kristen, is that I'm actually sober. So, after your comment yesterday regarding the UK like to have a beer, I just thought I'd make that claim to start with that I am actually sober.
All right, and to be fair, I have switched back to water, but the one before this was a London Pride, actually. So,
London Pride.
So not only was I having a beer before this, but it was an English beer.
So, what do you want to talk about, guys? Let's do
Mikey,
it.
what's coming up this weekend?
Well, the cards that are coming up tonight, man. Well, we got the Vasquez and Hernandez card. That's gonna be pretty good, man. Former Cuban amateur standout Ariel Perez, 5-0 with 4 knockouts. He's taking on Mexico's Brandon Romero, 11-1 with 6 KOs in a 10-round for the WBC Youth Intercontinental Super Bantamweight belt. This card's gearing up to be pretty good, man. Also on the card is Machado and Romero, another big fight down in Mexico, man. This card's gonna gear up to be pretty awesome, actually. It should be exciting. Starts, I believe, around 9 o'clock. I don't know if you guys
standard or
yeah, that's Eastern Standard. Several of MTK Global's highly rated stars will be in action on this card, and it's co-promoted by Mira Boxing. It should be really good, man. Vasquez, he's 42-10 with 16 knockout. He's fighting Isaiah Hernandez, 10-1 with 7 KOs, and then you got the teenage sensation Jonathan Lopez. He's 2-0 with 2 KOs, and he's squaring off against Omar Centillin, 5-1. Should be an epic bout, man. And then we got another perfect guy, Chris Flores. I think I've mentioned him before. He's 4-0 with 4 KOs. He's going to be fighting Rafael Armenta. He's 2-0 with 1 KO. So that this card's gonna be pretty good, man. MTK Global, they usually got some pretty good youth boxers, man. The kids out of Mexico, they're always hype, man. Always watching these Mexican fights. They leave it all out there. They go balls to the wall. They don't stop. They throw until they die in the ring, man. Which always makes for exciting fights, and hopefully for some wicked knockouts. Another card, definitely that you guys should know about is the Dignam card. Versus Sirotkin. That should be a big card. Danny Dignam will defend his WBO European middleweight title against the Russian. And this is another big fight night, man. Packed with tons of stuff. Dignam's 13-0 with 7 KOs, and he's ranked number 5 in the world by WBO. And he last competed, I believe it was March last year when he stopped Alfredo Melli. He now turns his attention to Sorokin, and Sorokin's 19-1 with 7 KOs, and he's ranked number 13 in the world by WBC. So this card, these guys, they're gonna go at it, man. This is gonna be an epic battle. It's I think it's gonna be a slugfest, to be honest. And then there's
we've only got hold on, Mike. Before we go through every card, we've got one belt on the line this weekend. As far as I know, it's only the one belt that's up for grabs, and that's Demetrius Andrade, Liam Williams.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's good.
so now I don't know how many of you guys had a chance to check out. Well, that's where Carl is on my screen. But I don't know how to check out his show. But he asked you, Mikey, about this one last night, and you got some raised eyebrows based on your predictions.
Yeah, man.
So before you weigh in, I think it's only polite that we let our guest from across the pond weigh in on this title bout.
Definitely.
Well, thank you. First thing I would say is a little bit disappointed at how lower profile Boo Boo's got, both in America and in the UK. A little bit disappointed with the job that Eddie Hearn has done with him. A couple of factors. Age comes into play. Mm-hmm. But I do think that Liam Williams will lose. It'll be stoppage in the championship rounds. That's my prediction. And that's quite a favourable prediction on Last Bell Boxing. Mike got laughed out the joint a little bit last night.
I did. Honestly, I like Williams though, and that's my thing. I like Liam Williams, and Boo-Boo's been running his mouth. Boo-Boo's been running his mouth. Boo-Boo's been running his mouth, and Williams wants to shut it for him. And honestly, I believe Williams does have the ability to do it. It's
there's only 2 inches in height. There's only 2 inches in reach between them. There's about 5 years difference in age between them on this one.
Yeah.
Ranked 4th and 8th, respectively. Andrade ranked 4th. Williams coming in at 8th right now. You've also got Southpaw versus Liam Williams with an orthodox stance as well to consider.
Yeah. And Dominic Ingle's a great trainer as well. He likes to work on the angles a lot. So I expect to see Williams moving around. I just think it'll just fall a bit short. I just don't think he's quite good enough. And you can record this and play it back to me. I think it's going to be a stoppage. If you're asking me to come off the fence, I know Mike likes to sit on the fence a little bit.
Come off the fence, let's hear it.
I'm even going to pick a round for you. I'm going to go for round 10.
Round 10, eh? Okay. Boo-Boo in 10.
I think Boo-Boo will have just a little bit too much for Mr. Williams. Yep. If you think about when he stepped in with Liam Smith, he got found wanting. So I just think it'll just fall a bit short. I'm keen to help you guys think because I'm very surprised you fancy Williams to win the fight, but let's hear it.
Yeah.
Convince me.
So this was the raised eyebrows I was talking about last night. Mikey called Williams, and the 3 you on.
Yeah.
You know what? Williams has the power, man. He has the power to be able to knock him out, and he believes he's going to bring it to him, man. He's been, he's settled in. He's been in his training camp at Ingle Gym in Sheffield, and he's been trying, man, and he's been training really, really hard, and he does have the power to do it, man. And I just think not massive, but he does have the ability to do it. And honestly, I think he's going to catch him.
Are you trying to convince me or you?
And myself at this point.
Well, yeah, you've already said it. You've already said it. Everyone in the UK who watches Last Bell Boxing,
at this point, I guess I got to kind of try and convince myself, right? I got to believe he's going to win. I believe he's going to win. I'm going to will it. I'm going to will it to happen for Williams.
I mean, obviously, from a UK stroke British perspective, I hope he does win. But I just can't see it. But I do like the start time for the fight. I think DAZN have done a great job there, taking the global time zone into account rather than North America. Just putting that one out there, guys.
Yes, no.
What time's that? Well, it's Eddie Hearn. I mean, he is English. What time's that going live at?
2 p.m.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
2 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, there we go.
Yep, 11 a.m. Pacific.
So yeah, okay, he's keeping the Greenwich Mean crowd in mind for that one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that will go down in North America because that's quite inconvenient, isn't it? Start to be having
It's a
fights.
Saturday. It's Saturday, and it's COVID. There's a lockdowns in all major cities.
Educate me. What does a Saturday look like in typical North America? You know, what you talk.
Who knows anymore? We don't have typical North America. All the cities are in lockdown. They just announced extended lockdown measures here in Toronto today. In Ontario as a province kind of thing. So basically, we have nothing to do other than sit on our asses and watch boxing. There's no excuses.
No, man, we do the work so they don't have to, man. That's it. That's
exactly.
That's it, right?
Pardon me.
I've already watched a bunch of boring fights today.
We have.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I was waiting for some sort of knockout to happen at least today. I literally watched boxing from 1:30 until right after our show, and yeah, man, I didn't see anything too spectacular, man. I was kind of upset, you know, like.
Well, you had more in it than I did. I was too disheartened after hearing that the America's Olympic qualifying tournament's been canceled.
That's
so
a little.
I tuned out for most of the day today after that one.
I mean, another fun thing that came up last night, Mike, was Jean Pascal versus Carl Froch. That was quite a good debate we had regarding that. Yeah, and the state of Canadian boxing came up as well. I know you gave a few shout outs, Mike, didn't you?
Yes, definitely, I did. Our girl is fighting on the 23rd, Amanda Golly. Make sure you watch that one. That's going to be a good fight.
Can we talk a little bit about the circus, the sideshow that's also happening tomorrow?
Jake Paul, Ben Askren.
I've just watched the press conference.
Okay.
It gets clicks. It clearly makes money. Am I a fan of it from a boxing purist? No.
The only reason why I want to see this sideshow, man, is because of what it's doing for the sport of boxing. It's building a new fan base. But is
it though, Mike? But is it?
It is because eventually you're gonna see these guys like Jake Paul and Logan Paul and all these YouTubers. Eventually, they're gonna take it more serious, and then they're actually gonna start to try harder. They are trying hard now. You watch these guys train, they're in the gym. You talk to boxers, man. Boxers are like, listen, they're going through the role, man. They're doing the paces, you know, they're in the gym 6 o'clock in the morning, they're running, they're dieting, they're strength and conditioning, they're doing the work. And you know what? No matter what you do, the more you work at it, the better you get. Practice makes better. So no matter what.
We've got our first prediction coming in, Mikey. We've got our first prediction on that fight coming in from
Paul by KO
Dead Game Boxing. Yeah, Dead Game Boxing says Paul will knock out in 3.
Honestly,
the only reason I'm gonna watch is to see Jake Paul get knocked out.
Honestly, yo,
Graham, don't you sit on the fence anymore, please. Can you be a bit less direct, please?
Don't forget that Jake Paul has enough money, and what did he do? He went out and hired Masvidal, who knocked out Askren in 5 seconds. And I saw a sneak peek of the little training that they're doing, and he's working on that move that put Askren to sleep real quick. You know what? Honestly, I think Jake Paul is going to take it, man. I think in a boxing match, Jake Paul is going to take it. We're talking MMA.
I'd love to tell you that we've got a bunch of matches to look at to study his opponent, but there's nothing there.
Mike, I don't know how you get so enthusiastic about it, Mike. Honestly, I just don't know how you get so enthusiastic about it because
I have to, man. I have to.
I'll have a partner, whatever you're having. Kristen, you can keep your London ale. I'll have a partner, what Mike's having. If he can get this excited about a bang average bout like that, he's on some good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure you can find his down the corner.
No, probably not.
No comment on that one, young man. No comment. So
okay.
You know what?
I hope it's not a common theme. That's all I'm going to say. You know, they've got the place.
Graham, what do you got?
I just hope Triller's being called. I hope it's being announced by Snoop Dogg again, because you know what, the last Jake Paul fight that he announced.
Okay, that was funny.
That's hilarious, right? Like Snoop Dogg with Trilla. Trilla's there again. It's on Fight TV. I'm wondering if he's going to do the commentary again, man. Because you know what, honestly, it's comical. It's comical, and it's gonna make.
Well, I mean the Tyson fight, his commentary during the Tyson fight was hilarious when he looks like my two uncles going at it at a barbecue. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Graham,
yeah, Snoop Dogg made that whole
just 2 more minutes, Graham. Graham, just 2 more minutes. Funny you should mention Tyson, Christian, because where does that sit in amongst the circus? Is it any better than the YouTubers? Is it worse? Should
it's better.
Well, I mean, he definitely comes with built-in street cred, whereas Jake Paul doesn't, because at least he's coming back to. Now, I don't know if you guys do this in the UK. If you have here, we have in the NHL, we'll have the old timers games where we'll bring back all the stars and stuff like that from yesteryear who can still lace up the skates. I'm not sure if they do that in the UK and Champions League or anything like that. But
on occasions, yeah.
So most of the time, there's a history. Those ex-champions are getting drunk. They don't got time.
That's my point. There's a history of that. At least that's somebody coming back to the sport and putting on a bit of an exhibition. Yes, we make fun of it. Yes, we say it. We call it the pillow fight. We make fun of the size of the gloves and things like that, and the fact that it's hard sparring as opposed to a fight. But these are at least guys who do have belts to their names. They do have street cred.
Yeah, it's what, it makes for a much more technical boxing match. It looks better. Honestly, we're gonna see when you see Jake Paul and Ben Askren go in there, you're not gonna see the greatest.
No, headhunting from minute.
You're gonna see headhunting.
That's all you're gonna see.
And you know what? They're both gonna be punch tired after the first if nobody gets knocked out in the first round. Well, except Ben Askren, really.
I think Jay. I think the Paul brothers need to be careful who they're calling out, because they're in danger of getting hurt. All joking aside, if they aim the sights too high, there is a case where they could quite easily get hurt, couldn't they? And then all of a sudden, all that odd good work that Mike perceives is done by these events, which I don't agree with, is undone. How would that make? But there's already questions around the safety of boxing as we stand now, isn't there? And
you know what I believe. You know what I believe is that those fans that come, even though they've come on his back, if they watch him get knocked out, they're hooked because they just seen a wicked knockout.
They're
gonna get stuck to the sport, man. That's how I got hooked. I got hooked to the sport watching people get knocked out.
No, I see your point, but I'm conscious of time. I don't believe it's almost. This is a really poor analogy in the UK, but I'm going to go for it at 12:30 at night. You're almost throwing a lot of mud against the wall and hoping it all sticks. These people have got no. The majority of these people have got no interest in boxing. Boxing doesn't retain them. They'll come and watch this one fight and then disappear again. That's my view. So I'm not sure what boxing gets out of it, to be honest.
So which would you rather see, these YouTubers or the old timers coming back for their hard sparring matches?
Neither, if I'm honest. You know what I'd like to see?
Come on, we've got Holyfield's lacing up again. Holyfield's lacing up in June.
I worry about credibility, Christian. That's what I worry about. They've had the day. They've had the day in the sun. Are they coming back for the love of the sport, or are they coming back for the payday?
To be fair, they were paying the same back in Holyfield's day. They weren't making the money they're making now. So, there's a good chance that some of these guys may have burned through their paydays from the 80s.
Oh, definitely.
So you're answering your own question, aren't you, in essence?
Well, no, my question was, which would you rather see going on out of the two of them? But yeah, no, I get your point. I get your point. They're there for the paychecks. They're there for the entertainment value, again, because these aren't real boxing matches. There's no titles on the line. There was rumors that Tyson smoked a big joint before he got in the ring with
allegedly
Roy Jones Jr. But this is my point: is nobody's testing these guys afterwards.
There to pick up a paycheck to get their car out of the repo.
Wow. Okay, that's a bit rough. Although our history lesson did start off with Joe Louis having a massive IRS bill and having to lace back up again. So
I just think they're in danger of it taking away from the legacy. When we think of Holyfield, we think about him coming up from cruiser to heavyweight, giving Tyson a boxing lesson, I'd argue. And then we see this kind of product in the ring now, which is a lot older, understandably. And does it take something away from his legacy? That's what I would argue.
Well, I think that's why they do it as the hard sparring as opposed to actual fights, because they don't want anyone to lose their legacy on tripping over their own feet and getting knocked out in the ring in their 50s.
Are you kidding me?
So and that's why they won't let those legacies be disturbed too much, and that's why they go out there and just poke at each other with oversized gloves.
Know what
I almost
insurance
debate with myself, Christian, because I will buy the pay-per-view. Did I buy Tyson? Yes, against Roy Jones. So so there's obviously a market there, but do I agree with it?
If nothing else, it's sure morbid curiosity. Can Tyson still move like that? Can Jones still, because Jones was unorthodox from day one. Can he figure Tyson out even this far along? Like, there's morbid curiosity going, how is this going to look? And the answer was like two Snoop Dogg's uncles at a barbecue, apparently.
Well, I did give myself a look in the mirror at 3 a.m. when I was getting up to watch it, and I gave myself a bigger look in the mirror when it finished at 5 a.m. and I thought, what have I just watched?
That's the same thing I thought, man. I thought, I can't believe I sat through this entire event and watched this crap.
And then they gave him both a belt. I'm thinking, what's happening here?
It was like those kids in school that got the participation.
Yeah, nobody can lose. Yeah,
nobody's a loser. Everybody goes home a winner.
I mean, what did you think, Christian? What did you think of the standard of Tyson versus Roy Jones?
Well, that's it. It was hard sparring. It for what it was exactly what it promised itself to be. They promised these two guys in their 50s to come out. They told it there's going to be no headshots, there's going to be no knockouts. These guys are putting on an exhibition. And as long as you kept that in mind, even when you were listening to the commentary, they kept saying things like, all things considered, this is really good. When you take into account the fact that these guys are in their 50s, these guys look great. So even the commentators, the live were, they had to kind of preface every comment they made with the fact that these guys are in their 50s, so we can't expect them to look like they're going to in their prime. So anyone who's expecting to actually see a Tyson or a Roy Jones fight was going to be disappointed. People who are only watching go, I've heard the name Mike Tyson before, this should be good. We're disappointed. Yeah. People who are watching Tyson back in the 80s, 90s, and Roy Jones Jr. back in the 80s, back in the 90s and forward. No, like you saw their styles. You saw these two guys put on an exhibition, and both in their own signature style. In my personal opinion, Tyson could have taken Jones about 3 different times in that fight if they weren't hard sparring.
Maybe he shouldn't allegedly smoke that joint then.
Allegedly.
And then the last question.
But it really has to come down. It really comes down to what you were hoping to get out of that fight beforehand.
I think
if you wanted for what it was impressive. I was impressed. I'm hoping I can move half that good when I'm 50.
Yeah. And the last question that I forgot to ask Mike last night, which a couple of my guys from Last Bell Boxing prompted me. So this is not me. Little disclaimer at the bottom of the screen. This is not my question. However, I've got a duty to ask it. In terms of Lennox Lewis, Canadian or British?
Oh, well, I would say his gold medal says Canada.
That's exactly right. Good answer, Christian.
I'm just saying he had a choice.
Yeah,
he had a choice. I know you asked Mike this, but sorry, you got me in the Olympics here.
Yeah, trust me.
Now you're where I live. Now you're where I live. Now you're where I live. Because he had a choice of who he was going to fight for. Like all Olympic athletes, all the time we see athletes choosing the dual nationals, and they choose which national team they're going for. He had a choice. He chose Canada. He chose to win his gold medal with Canada. That says Canada to me.
Let's do it, Mike.
Same. His medal says Canada, man. He's Canadian.
See, I'll take him as one of our own.
Of course you're going to. Of course. We're going to take it. Yo, honestly, if he was a Twix bar, we could split him.
What I would say is, what national anthem was always sang before any world title fight?
Ah, see.
What flag was in the ring? What flag was in the ring? I didn't see I didn't see a Canadian flag in that ring. I'm here to defend, guys. You got to expect me to defend. You know.
Of course, you're gonna defend, but just remember that gold medal that hangs around his neck says Canada on it.
But the world titles.
Carl, you got to give us.
his
We have
waist.
one. We have a single gold medal in boxing at the
I
Olympic
feel
Games.
bad, guys. I feel
We have
bad.
one, and then we hung it on Lennox friggin' Lewis. All right,
I know.
Canadian, we're keeping him.
I feel bad, and also the other guys are not here to back me up. You know, I've kind of been pushed out into the field of fire. But you know,
Yeah, this would have been an easier question to ask when it was the ratio was the other way around.
I like a challenge, Christian. You know, I'm not shy in coming forward, even when I'm sober. Just get that one in there again. I think it's got to be British, right? Come on. It's got to be British.
See, you guys have this history of this one here. You know, if someone does something poorly and they're Scottish, they're Scottish.
No.
Now, however, if they do something great, like the telephone, all of a sudden he was a Brit. And I'll say the same about the Welsh as well, and the Northern Irish for that one. You guys have a habit of claiming people.
God, is there any other nationalities you want? Is there any other nationalities you want to throw under the bus, Christian? While we have to get a bit more of that pint down you.
Well, tons more. But hey, at the end of the day, if I flip a loony over the other way, it's the same person on the back of it. We're all under the Queen.
Well, aren't you claiming a Nigerian as a Brit these days in the heavyweight category?
Would that be Mr. Joshua you talked about there, Graham?
Yes, sir.
Hey, if you do Google if Lennox Lewis is Canadian,
He
or
doesn't
British,
speak up often, but when
it says he's British Canadian, so he's both.
Is that right? Is it, Mike? Is that what it says?
Yeah, that's what it says. He says he's British Canadian. Yes, because
not
he was
English
born there.
Canadian. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way the British bit's first. So I think that saves it.
Well, that's
priority.
It's in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
So,
ABC,
good one.
baby.
Good one.
Well played.
But all joking aside, what a great fighter. You know, right up there,
definitely.
isn't he, in terms of heavyweights, past or present. I think he's right up there. I think
I'll believe that the Tyson fight's happening when Tyson sobers up. Tyson Fury sobers up. That's when that Anthony Joshua fight's finally going to happen.
Well, yeah.
The 24th of July, Saudi Arabia is what's being mooted.
Yeah.
Again, last I heard, Tyson Fury was putting back 10 points a day.
He's very good, isn't he?
I did catch him dancing on Instagram on his furniture and his tables.
Clearly a sober move.
Clearly a sober move.
He wouldn't be in the physical state he's in if he's drinking 10, 12 pints a day, I would suggest, because he looks very lean.
You know what? What they're saying is if it
those
takes
were self-admitted pints.
He will win that fight before he steps foot into the ring. He will do a similar job to what he did with Klitschko. Anthony Joshua will not know mentally whether he's coming or going by the time Tyson Fury's finished with the mind games.
He's good at that. That's for sure.
Yeah,
he's definitely good at that. Another card going on this weekend, man. The Harrison and Perella card is happening, which I'm excited to see because we had our buddy Trayvon Lawson on, and on that card is the guy that he got famous knocking out. Angel Berettis is on that card, and his brother, who both make for some exciting fights. So you're going to see some young guys in the ring there. One of them coming off a nasty knockout, and yeah, man, that should be for an epic undercard. I can't wait to see that. But the Harrison card is looking like it's going to be pretty good. You know, the former WBC super welterweight world champion Tony Harrison, and it's gonna be great, man. It should be for an epic fight. These two can smash. They have the stamina to keep going. It should make for an epic bout, man. I can't wait to see it. There's a lot of good fights, man. I can't wait to see them all, and I can't wait to do our Sunday knockout show, man, and show everybody around the world the winners of our prestigious Knuckle Up Knockout of the Week. I can't wait. I can't wait to see this, man. I was hoping to see something this afternoon, but I saw nothing but boring matches.
Boring technical matches decided by judges by landing punches as opposed to
Yeah.
wild haymakers. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
No, not wild haymakers. Well-placed punches that put people to sleep. Like FA, our winner last week. I can still hear the crack of that glove hitting his face, man, when he spun him around. What an epic shot, man. But yes, this is gonna be a good weekend for fights. I'm so excited. Yeah, we got lots of things going on. Other than that, I don't know what you guys want to talk about. We got fights to start watching, I guess.
So,
well, I do.
One quick one from me. Where do you think Conor Benn goes next?
Honestly,
he's calling out a lot of people. Sean Porter's the latest one.
I think he also called out Khan, right?
I think he's calling out everybody into,
Honestly, after watching the post-fight interview, realistically, man, he's full of piss and vinegar. He's got balls of brass. He's confident. He's coming off a vicious victory, beating up our guy from Toronto, Canada. And let's be real, man. He's got the ability to do whatever, man. He's naturally talented. And believe me, Eddie Hearn's got plans for that guy. He doesn't want to push him too fast, which he said. He wants him to take his time, but Conor Benn is demanding now respect on his name, and he wants him to stop calling it a step-up fight for everybody else when clearly they're the ones that are stepping up trying to get in the ring with him because he keeps putting these guys out and with fashion and he's a brilliant fighter, technical. He's really coming into his own. His dad was a great boxer as well, and he's naturally talented, and now his natural talent and his training are really coming together, and he's really turning into one of these well-rounded fighters that looks like they're going to be undefeated for a long time, man. And honestly, I believe at this point in his career, he needs to slow down a bit. Don't take the biggest fight right away, because something like that could really derail his plans. And I know Eddie Hearn's got good plans for him, and he's just got to calm down, wait, and just allow Eddie to set up the fights that he knows that are going to be right for him. Because you know what? At the end of the day, this kid is going to be – I believe he has the ability to be an undisputed champion.
That's a big call.
Bold.
Yeah. Bold.
In that weight division as well. It's a very big call.
It's a big call, but he has the ability, man. He's got the work. He's got the work, the drive. The work ethic is there, man. He's first one in the gym, the last one to leave. And, he works and works and works. His work ethic is there. And that's what it takes to build a champion, man, is work ethic. And he's got it. And then, you know what? On top of that, he's got the natural ability as well. He can do big things. We just got to allow him to take the right course and allow his promoters and his management team to do what's best for him. And he needs to just cool his britches, man, and just let the team do the work. That's it, man. That's all he's got to do. And we're going to see big things from him. He's a great fighter. I'm upset that the fight that he, last weekend was only, the first round with like a minute something in. It was ridiculous. I was hoping to see more, man. I was hoping to see.
Mike, breathe.
Why?
Breathe. Let Carl talk there. He had something to say. Just
no. It's all
keep
good,
going. Breathe, buddy. You got a panel. There's people here.
You got to shut me up, man. I'll talk for hours.
I would just have a pause for caution with Conor Benn, because as much as it was a good performance, it doesn't make him a world beater overnight. It's still quite a novice, and he blew that guy away. And I thought he was going to get a good 10 rounds out of that, from what I've seen of was it Vargas from memory?
Yeah, Vargas. And Vargas is in the best shape of his life, and like he was looking the best he's looked in years.
It was like a rabbit in the headlights, wasn't it? Like, what's going off here? Vargas did suggest that the ref might have jumped in a bit earlier, because by all accounts, is a slow starter.
Honestly, they should have let it go. You're right. The ref stopped it early. You know what? If he was going to get brutally knocked out, it should have happened. Like, let's be real, man. This is the sport you're in, and you know what? If you're going to get brutally knocked out, then that's what's supposed to happen, because then that way we
Well,
can
no,
show
Mike.
you-
I mean, we're like the sport itself has to adapt as time goes on, and you have to take into account the safety of the fighters. Because if you don't start looking to the safety of your fighters, that's how this sport dies out eventually through regulations and other things that are going to take it away from you, as opposed to putting smart regulations in that keep the as safe as you can make a fist fight, I guess. But you have to have those regulations, otherwise we're going to see our sport slowly decline. Actually, probably not that slowly, but you will see a decline that's going to take it away from the youth in the next generation.
Right.
And the only challenge was, Kristen, nothing was coming back from Vargas. So the referee's clearly going to start thinking about stepping in if nothing's coming back. There wasn't much coming back, Mike, was there?
No,
it's one-way traffic.
He didn't protest it. He knew there was nothing he could do, man.
We had a couple of weeks ago, Mikey. So that Jennifer Huggins was on. She's the president of the Boxing Ontario and a AIDA 3-star judge. Right. And she said, her thought from the refereeing side of things. She said, I would rather stop 1,000 fights early than one fight too late.
That's true. That's true.
And that's from someone who's refereeing at the top of the game, from the amateur side of things, of course. That's someone who's qualified to referee an Olympic bout. And that's you have to understand that's probably this very similar mindset is what you're going to see in a lot of referees. They would rather get criticized for stopping things early than having some guy turn out a friggin' vegetable or die in the ring and have them put it on you.
Listen, I'll tell you, any fighter that's in the ring and the ref's stepping in to stop, that fighter that's being the fight is being stopped for him, he believes it's an early stoppage no matter what. They all do.
They're a special breed. Special breed, aren't they? Fighters are special breeds, aren't they? Sometimes you've got to save them from themselves, though. Because
definitely, and that's why you see a lot of the corners thrown in the towels, man. I can't explain how many fights I've seen in the last month where the corner has thrown in the towel because the fighter just won't stop. He won't stop walking forward. Mm-hmm. He's not defending. He's just taking the punches, and that this guy is out on.
Because you're not thinking at that point. You're relying on training, and that's why they train. That's why they condition as hard as they do. Is because when you're in the moment, you can switch your brain off, and you rely on training and instinct. And training is going to tell you to keep pushing, even when logic would say you're done here. And that's why you see the towel coming from the corner. That's why they have the authority to throw that towel from the corner.
Definitely.
There's a lot of factions to it, isn't there? That you got the adrenaline. How many times have you been in a situation when the adrenaline's pumping, you've not thought logically? I'm sure we've all been there.
The adrenaline,
or you've pushed through an injury because of adrenaline. You don't feel the injury the way you've actually hurt yourself.
And what a difficult job the referees and the judges, definitely the referee, what a difficult gig that is. You're going to get criticised no matter what, be it from the corner or be it from the public. If one of them's going to think you've stepped in earlier, one's going to think you've let it go too long. So
it's a thankless job sometimes. Thankless job.
Definitely.
That's true.
Yeah.
It comes with the territory, and you know what? I wouldn't want to be the guy that.
Mike, you're harsh, aren't you, Mike? I'm seeing a right different side of you this evening. You're harsh. You're harsh on this panel.
No, we talked before, and he was on best behavior when he crosses the pond to talk on your show. He has to be diplomatic.
He was, yeah. Yeah. Very different scenario. I'm enjoying it.
He has to be diplomatic when he crosses the pond. Those
always got to be diplomatic. I can't wait. I'm excited, man. The Vasquez Hernandez card is starting soon, man, with Machado and Romero as well. I can't wait. I'm going to go watch that very, very shortly.
Yep.
Prep for that. Hopefully, we get to see some knockouts.
Yeah. Well, we want that official announcement, don't we, the next couple of days? Fury AJ. We want it boxed off, date, location, and then we can start the build up.
Yes, and then we can start the build up, and we can also have the guys that are sitting and waiting for this fight that are next in line to start their plan, which is going to gear up. Honestly, after this fight, 2022 is going to be the year that the heavyweight division is exciting again, because there's a lot of big names, a lot of guys that are.
How many guys are calling out both Joshua and Fury? Everybody's calling both of them at this point because they just want them to get it over with so that they can move on to other fights.
Yeah, and you know what? It's gonna make for an exciting 2022 in the heavyweight division in boxing.
And I want to see what the rest of that card looks like too. What's the undercard going to be when it finally happens?
There's rumors that Paddy Donovan will be on that card.
Well, there's a lot of rumors as to what's going on. But that's my point.
We're getting Paddy Donovan in for an interview soon on Knuckle Up. I'll ask him. We'll talk to him and see what happens.
I'd like to see Kate Taylor on that card.
Yeah, definitely.
I was saying I'd like to see Kate Taylor on that card.
Katie Taylor on that card? That'd be big.
She's got a fight on. She's got to beat Natasha Jonas first. That's not a given. It's definitely not a given.
I'm pretty sure Eddie Hearn has his way.
Well, there's a lot of amateur pedigree there in Natasha Jonas. She it's not a gimme. It's not a gimme fight, that one. She's a very good fighter. I've got her coming on my show, by the way, after the fight, so be sure to keep an eye out for that one.
Oh, definitely, I will. We'll check that out.
And then lastly, Joe Joyce. I think Joe Joyce walks through Usyk as well. I know you're a big fan of Usyk, Mike. From what
I also like Joe Joyce as well. I really like him.
I don't think he gets the love he deserves in the UK because of his boxing style.
He doesn't.
He's a unit, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Tyson Fury often says about sparring, Joyce was a very heavy hitter.
Yeah.
So
Joyce has that knockout power in his jab. His tail of the tape speaks for itself. And you know what? He doesn't get the love that he deserves. And you know what? I can't wait to see him, back in action, man. Every time he's in action, I'm down to watch that fight because it's going to end with a brilliant knockout.
But Usyk's going to have to jab and move.
Definitely, but you can't count Usyk out because you know what? He's fought a lot at heavyweight. You know what? He's a little smaller. He's a little faster. He's going to have to stick and move a lot. It's whether or not he's going to be able to take those kind of punches,
He's not looked great, though, has he? He's not looked great at the weight division, has he?
No. He's on the lower end of that weight division, right? Because he weighs in about, say, 220, 225 in and around there. And, he's a couple inches shorter. And then we got the other guys that are up in, the 240s, 250s, 260s at that point, 6'6", 6'7", 6'5". He's on the smaller end, but you know what? He's a highly decorated amateur at heavyweight. So, he has the ability to fight as a heavyweight, which, I've watched him fight. He is a machine, man. He's one of those guys. He just goes, and it always makes for a good fight. Definitely makes for a good fight, man.
And then the last one from me, and I'm going to go then, I promise. Thank you for your time, though. It's been really good. Would be Dillian White versus Deontay Wilder if that happens. Now, that is an intriguing fight.
You know what? I think Deontay Wilder has a lot to prove after his loss.
So that's not the Wilder fight that everyone's hoping for, is it? It's not the fight Wilder's looking for.
No, but
there's still some legal issues, isn't there, around the Tyson Fury trilogy?
Yes, because technically they signed a 3-fight deal. Now, Deontay Wilder is in his right to have that fight legally, and he said that back in the early days of this whole Joshua and Fury thing that he was going to use that and sue over this and say, hey man, we're going to talk to lawyers and get this done. But then we had people like Usyk step up and say, hey man, I'll fight this guy so that can happen. Hey, I'll fight this guy so that guy can happen. So there's heavyweights that are just like, hey, let's go, man. So I think it was kind of like swept under the rug, or somebody kind of maybe left some money in a bag somewhere and was like, hey, you probably shouldn't worry about that legal thing anymore, and we'll get you something else. Because you know what, it's kind of died down about that whole legal talk. It just kind of, that was it. And I believe it's just because this is a year of unification and undisputed champions. And I think it's just time that the heavyweight division has an undisputed champion. And now that the ability for that fight to actually could happen, that's what everybody wants. That's what everybody wants to see, and that's what the promoters pushed. And I think they've shut up Deontay Wilder by telling him something that we don't know about, because you know what, he just shut up about it. First it was took to social media.
Dillian White deserves his shot, though, right? He's waited long enough.
Definitely. Big. You know what? He's coming off that big win, last one. You know, he did well.
I mean, what I would like someone to explain to me from the WBC is how Dominic Brazil got a world title shot and Dillian White was left hanging. Answers on a postcard, to use an old UK expression, you know.
Is that akin to the checks in the mail? Is that somewhere in the same?
No,
Yeah.
Christian, you're way out. Get some more of that pint down you. So,
You know,
Do you insist?
honestly, it's getting to that time where I gotta go get some pints in me because the fight's
me
gonna
as well.
start.
Look, guys, really enjoyed it. Okay,
Definitely.
like I say, you're all welcome on the Last Bell Boxing. I'll get the guys onto here one time as well.
Definitely.
Because it mixes it up a little bit. I've had a good, to use an Irish term, I've had a good crack tonight. It's been a good laugh and a joke. So
Definitely.
take care, keep safe. I'll speak to you
Yes.
soon.
For sure. See you later, Carl.
Take care.
Thanks, Carl.
Bye. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Well, guys, that was Carl, our man from overseas, our UK
Yeah, man.
Connect, our UK Connect. Yes, definitely good lad. You know, crack jokes. He's fun. So we got fights to watch, gentlemen. We have work to do because you know what? Saturday is our work day, and Friday evenings. So we're going to, I guess, cut this off right about here. I think. You know, I think it's about that time our producer tells us. So yeah,
Right on.
view it, like, and share it. Jab that like, click subscribe, knock us out some comments, man, and we'll see you next Friday for the Friday Night Panel.
Thanks, Christian. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah,
And
man.
thanks for
Thanks,
good
man.
viewership.
See you
Have a
later,
good
guys.
weekend, guys.
See you, fans.